everyone. Welcome to the Embracing the Human Experience podcast. This is Mugdha
And I am Avinash.
We've done about 10 episodes of this so far, and we'll continue to create content around this, primarily with the purpose of helping whoever you are watching this, helping you understand what does it really mean to embrace the human experience, that this life is a gift and it is not something that we treat with existential dread. We learn, in fact, how to embrace this one gift that we have. That's why we are here doing this. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about the keys that create more flow in your life. We've spoken about the mind, we've spoken about the body, we've spoken about emotions, we've spoken about spirituality in the past. I think the last couple of podcasts were about finding your purpose itself. And we just thought that today's topic is actually a great flow into what we want to discuss more. So what is this topic all about? What am I talking about when I say keys that will create flow in your life?
So Mugdha, what we are going to talk about is the thing that governs our life on this planet as well as beyond it. Like we are the sovereign human being. We are not certain humans or identified by the religion or the name or the community or the nationality. We are spiritual beings who are experiencing a human life here. And we are guided as much by the laws of the land as the laws of the universe.
Yes.
So we are going to look at the laws which are quasi spiritual in nature.
Okay.
Some of them are like totally earthly, totally 3D construct. Some of them are directly you are inheriting by virtue of you being a spiritual being.
Right.
So we're going to look at each of these, whatever we can cover in this episode. These are the keys which will guide your life. Not only guide your life, it will allow you to have that kind of flow which gives you immense experience on this planet.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of experience on this planet once you understand these keys, once you accept and know how to work around
How to use these. So actually, even like when I say flow, right, like we were discussing this before, what do we really mean by flow? For me, flow is that state of being where you feel it, like you feel an inherent sense of peace within, where you are in joy, right? Like you are enjoying life. You are in joy with every experience that comes. So it's a state of being, it's a kind of life where you're not really banging against too many obstacles. You're not really like hitting too many walls. You're not feeling stuck and like suffocated. You're not feeling burdened by life. You are accepting everything that's coming your way, but you're flowing with life, right? You're flowing with every obstacle. So like if you look at how a boat flows through a river, it's not going to go and bang against every rock, right? The person who's navigating the boat knows how to navigate it so that every rock, every obstacle, even maybe a tree that will come in between, or even like alligators that might be there, the person who's navigating the boat would know how to go with the flow of the river without hitting these obstacles. Like they'll be able to spot the obstacle and make a small change in the direction and then veer off so that they can continue towards their destination. So that's what we really want to talk about. And yes, like you said, there are quasi laws, there are man-made laws, there are universal laws that govern our existence. Of course, like one of them is natural law, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But we have to accept we live in society, right? We have to accept we live within this 3D construct which has its things that help move things around. If you completely deny the existence of those things, like I've seen this with a lot of spiritual people, like they want to deny the utility, the resourcefulness of money itself, right? Like how important money is in our day-to-day life. Spiritual people often kind of say that it's not necessary at all. If you deny these things that exist, were they made by man? Were they a combination of like a collective agreement, like society said these are the things we need, so let's agree to this? Or did they come from like divine itself, like God made these rules and these are inviolable? That's not so much for debate as much as the fact that these exist, these laws or rules or whatever, and the more you learn about them, the more you unlock those laws. So that so you're not breaking any of those laws, but you're like learning to bend around them and navigate around them. the easier your life will be, and who wouldn't want that, right? Like,
Yeah,
who
exactly.
wouldn't want more peace in their lives?
So my designation or my role at iThrive is to create that flow, to ensure that flow happens and the obstructions are removed. But that is more from the practical point of view, to just to understand how the government functions and how the company within
Yeah.
that government has to function, and keeping our overall energy and overall ethos of our organization in mind. How do we navigate around that? That is what we are going to learn as much as possible today, whatever we can cover.
Yeah, and it's not like, so what we'll do is we'll just talk about the few that we know of a little briefly, and then over the next few podcasts, we'll actually go into each one
of
more
them,
deeper,
yeah,
right?
that
Because
will make sense.
each of them is such a deep topic.
Yeah.
We can't do justice to all of them in just one podcast.
You
so
can actually spend a lifetime to understand
one, I know. So let's start with the one that I struggled with the most, which for you came very naturally, which is the concept of time. Okay, now time is not a law, time is not a rule. It exists as a concept in this world, and if we refuse to abide by time, if we say that time is a man-made construct, you'll actually lose track of time, and you'll end up not doing a lot of things that you were supposed to do in the present moment itself, right? So to me, I struggled a lot with it until Avinash actually went at a deep programming level itself and kind of changed the program that I had around time. But that we'll cover in a more in-depth podcast around time. But like, just what is time, Avinash?
So we were having this discussion on the lunch table the other day, and everyone has their own idea of time.
Yeah.
My idea of time is it's like a scale. You just move from one place to another.
Right.
Your idea was it's a degradation. It's a the extent of degradation which is happening in a biological
That's
field.
one idea
There is
of
one idea of. Someone was talking about time being space itself, right? So you navigate around.
Yeah.
That space exists. Time is a
And you're
kind
just
of
measuring,
vehicle.
yeah.
Time is a kind of vehicle which allows you to go across and see, experience different things. So time per se is a different concept. Like if you follow theory of relativity, the time is a quantity. Like it can be compressed, it can be measured, it can be pulled back. So there are so many possibilities still exist with time because we have not understood time. We only understand time in terms of the amount of years we are spending on this planet. So we look at time from that point. How much time do I have? I'm going to
That
lead.
is still like, I think at a higher level, how much time do I have? Most people struggle with time in the sense of like being on time itself, which is
There is too small.
Yeah, it's like, for me, it's an everyday struggle because I get lost in like interdimensional stuff, and then I have to suddenly keep track of time. But I was on time in office today.
Yes,
before
congratulations.
time. But like something as simple as actually just showing up on time, either for a physical meeting or for an online meeting, just keeping track of time itself is something that a lot of people struggle with, right? So, yeah.
So understanding time is important, respecting time is important, because I always insist time is a currency that you have. Use it for your benefit, like exchange it wherever you think it is necessary. Just like money, you use time. Like you spend time to make money. And that is how the time is important. Like you go to a job, you spend 8 hours. In return, you get money that you use to buy pleasures or things that you like. So understanding time in terms of the value that it can create is important. Like Sachin Tendulkar makes so much of money in 1 second of time or 1 minute of a time. I may not be making that kind of money, but that is enough for me. So understanding how much time value you carry, how much value you can, get out of that time you're willing to spend on certain activity, and that is what matters. Then you will understand that being on time in the office or leaving on time from the office is so important, that every extra minute you're spending or every extra minute you're being late, you're losing money, you're losing resource, you're losing your life, in fact.
Right.
So understand time from that point of view. You wasted 5 minutes, you lost 5 minutes of your life. You could have created so many experiences with that 5 minutes of your time. And that is how important time is to everyone.
I think what happens with someone like me, right? I don't feel like I wasted time. It's just experience X versus experience Y.
Yeah, you choose experience.
So I choose, right? So for me, whatever, I mean, we'll discuss time more in detail in terms of what you did for me, also how you helped me get better at it. Is I had to put a boundary around experience X so that I could actually be at experience Y when everyone else was waiting for me at that Y, right? So I had to move from this place to this place and allocate enough time and space to move from this place to this place, right? Like
So,
choosing
yeah,
experience.
understanding that experience X is created because you have that experience Y. Without that experience Y, you cannot have this
Have the
experience.
pleasure of this experience.
Pleasure of this experience. So if you, just like that spiritual people you're talking about, na,
Right.
they don't understand this connection.
Like that.
So they think this experience X is created on its own.
Right.
It doesn't get created on its own. Whatever you create with this another of Y, that is what
allows
is
the
created.
space for this.
Exactly.
True. And I think you said a really beautiful thing, that time is currency, and I think it ties so well with what I was describing as the state of flow. Because if you're trying to navigate life, you have to have the right currents working for you, and I think time is one currency like that, right? So we'll just look at like these currencies that you can use. That will give you that will keep you in the right current to kind of navigate around without too many obstacles getting in the way. So time is that. We'll speak more about time immediately in the next podcast.
Yeah.
What's the next one you want to talk about?
Emotions.
Emotions. All right. All right.
So, the
that
one
time
I was very good at the time, one I am very bad at the emotion, and you are good at it.
Yeah. So why do you think we should talk about emotions as a currency for navigating life?
Yeah, I think my idea of emotions is it's a kind of communication language between different beings of ours, like physical being and the mental being and the spiritual being. And spiritual being only understand this feeling. That feeling can only be understood through emotions that you create. Now, emotions are created through your experiences on this planet. Right? You have a pizza, you have ice cream, you create a joy, or you have something, you're doing a swimming, you're doing some activity which is creating some kind of joy. The swimming is not experienced by the soul. The joy is experienced by the soul.
Right.
So that is how important your emotions are.
So that's what emotions are for you.
Yeah.
Like-
It makes sense?
It does. But to me, I think emotions are far more important than that, because every emotion is energy in motion. Like it's emotion, right? It's energy in motion. And like time is something you could easily squander and lose energy there in terms of the money you can make or in terms of the experiences you can create. With emotions, if you're not aware, if you're not understanding the currency of your emotions, if you're not understanding how energy is moving through you and where your energy is taking you, you could again squander away a lot of your energy, right? So it becomes super important to really understand your emotional states, to become self-aware about your emotional states so that you're not squandering any of this emotion, energy in motion. This energy in motion is really what is going to give you the momentum. It is the fuel, okay? So like going back to the boat example, if you have to take your boat through many things, for the person who is navigating the boat, it is like this is the energy that is really the fuel to be able to do the other actions, right? Like even being on time, it creates a certain emotional experience.
Exactly.
Even the pleasure of making money and investing in things that matter to you, it creates a certain emotional experience. That emotional experience allows you to continue to navigate and allows you to continue to be on this journey, because if you felt numb, if you had no feelings, your ship wouldn't move, your boat wouldn't move, you'd just be there, you wouldn't go in any place, right? So energy is like, emotions are energy in motion, and that's why I think it's really important to understand them, to develop a vocabulary for your own emotions, to understand what triggers what emotional states, to understand who are the people that drain your emotion by triggering certain states in you, who are the people that add more energy to you by triggering certain states in you. So I think emotions are very powerful, and what modern...
I always struggled with like any modern, the working class. But I have understood emotion in that sense that it needs to flow. As we are talking about flow, if your emotions are stuck, it is going to be inside your body, stuck, and you are seeing that with the kind of massages yogic relief massage that we are doing. And every disease that we were able to correlate, it is stuck inside your body because of the emotions.
Stuck energy inside your body. See, unlike time will continue to flow by. Whether you honor it, whether you understand or not, time is going to go. Money is going to go. A lot of these other keys that we'll speak about will continue to flow, whether you become aware of them or not. Emotions are self-generated. And if you don't allow them to flow, you are going to be stuck with them.
Exactly.
And that stuck emotion can create so many illnesses, from actual physical illnesses to mental illnesses to a degree at a societal level also. Stuck emotions are creating so many illnesses, right?
You will have issue at every level of
Yeah.
your existence. Relationship to your societal relation, to your friendships, to your spiritual chart, whatever your...
Yeah, so emotions are super important, and I think again we'll do another podcast. We've done one on emotions, but I think the one that we'll do will be more on like
How-
actually giving
yeah.
tools to people to
flow, how to make it
create
flow.
more flow with their own emotions. It's easier said than done, but it's a very experiential process, and there are tools that can help you.
So that is your
express.
favorite one. What is the next one?
What is the next one, Avinash? You tell me.
I forgot. We made a list of stuff that
We could talk about money. How money is another key.
That is my favorite.
That's your favorite. That's my favorite too. Yeah.
Okay. Understanding money is my favorite thing. Making money is her favorite thing. So that is what she does. So I understand money in a way that it allows you to navigate on this planet, especially. It's a kind of energy. I always give example of equivalent of money as electricity. So you have electricity coming inside your house. It can be used for anything. So a lot of people have this grudge against money, that too much of money spoils you, too much of money is evil, and all the people who have lots of money, they have
Money is a bad,
they have taken it through the bad means, they earn it through the bad means, and we should not worship money. We should be very conservative about it.
Or
We should not
hide your
show off,
money.
hide your money. Don't show it off. So a lot of people have this idea about money, and it takes a lot of time to deconstruct this idea, because of this idea they are not able to make enough money, because money is a source of energy. Just like electricity coming into your house, you can use it to power your lights, you can use it to cool your food in a fridge, heat your food in the oven, you can use it to run the ACs and your whatever TVs and charge your phone. At the same time, if it is not used properly, it can burn your house down. So understanding money from that point of view is very important. And most important characteristic of money is it has to flow. It can't remain stuck. Like it won't stuck like an emotion inside your body. It is going to flow, whether you like it or not. Money likes to flow. And whatever experiences that you can create with that flow, that is what the purpose
So
of money
this is a very important thing, because money really likes to flow. Money does not like to be hoarded or does not like to be held on. And what I've seen mostly in people who have a tendency to hold on to money and not like spend, let's say, on self-care or on their self, or like
even
for any,
experiences.
experiences, like just using money to create life experiences. If people are afraid of that because they think they're going to run out of money, that money will find a way to flow. It will find a way to flow in terms of health problems, so you'll end up paying doctors and hospitals. That money will find a way to flow into other crises like legal stuff or something. Money will always find a way to flow, and money likes to grow, right? So if you're not creating flow for money, at least you create growth for money by doing, like, again, that's not something that I'm an expert at. I'm very good at allowing money to just flow. And I always receive whatever I need, more than what I need, and then I'm able to redirect it in the places that it's supposed to go. I have no interest in holding on to money, right? Because it comes when I need it, money just comes.
It doesn't
blessed,
work that. Like electricity, same thing. Electricity, if you don't use it, it will flow to the next house.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Or you can like send electricity into a transformer where it's going to transform and then power more places, right? So if it's excess, it goes into the transformer. The same thing with money. You can use that money if it's beyond your needs, like if it's more than what you need, then you allow it to grow in different ways. Like I see this with a lot of the investors and the VCs, right? Yeah. When they once have money that serves all their wants and needs, then they start thinking of how they can use this money to create more flow or growth, and that's how they invest in companies, and then those companies grow, and then money is just always expanding, and there's more than enough money for every human need. There is money for human greed also. There's more than enough money that we need. But again, we'll talk about money in more detail, like what is money also, right? Where did the system of money
start? Yesterday we was talking about money. Money is like different for different beings of Earth. Like how a physical being will relate to money is different than what your spiritual being is
Right.
going to relate to. Because spiritual being is energy form. It will look at money as an energy form, creating experiences,
Right,
having
right,
those
right.
emotions being
Or like
generated.
just the ability to be free.
Yeah. It
I mean,
allows you freedom. It allows you to
for
travel.
me, money is so important because it gives me the freedom to just live independently, live alone, buy whatever I want to buy, exotic blueberries, random stuff that I want to buy when it comes to food. No one's really
Crystals.
telling me
You're not talking about
crystals.
crystal.
No one's really telling me how I should, where I should put my money. So the fact that I have my own money gives me immense freedom. And I think every woman and every man should have that. But anyway, we'll talk about this more in detail when we go into money
Yeah,
itself.
at least you should have ability to make money.
Yeah.
Whether you
I
make
mean,
it
we all have that ability. It's just that it's been suppressed, forgotten, or pushed under societal conditioning. So there's a lot to talk about money actually when we go into that podcast.
Next, your strong point, Mugdha.
Which one?
Knowledge.
Okay, yeah.
Self-knowledge.
So yeah, this one again I can talk for hours. It's so, see, beyond all of this, no, time and money and emotions becomes part of that self-knowledge itself. But I think one of the biggest keys that will help you unlock everything you need to know for you to do what you want to do is knowledge of yourself. Okay, so people often think knowledge is about acquiring knowledge about like from books and like just becoming this intellectual person. So that knowledge is good too. It is important to develop your intellect. It is important to nourish your mind and develop your intellect with the right kind of knowledge. But while we are doing that, it is also important to go deep and seek knowledge of self, right? This question of who am I? Why do I exist? What am I here to do? How am I going to do that better? Who created me? These are basic questions that one should be asking actually every single day. Because when you ask these questions, automatically the knowledge that like, you know, it's like somebody who's really thirsty and that thirst can only be quenched by that specific answer. It's that. So immediately the universe will start sending you more and more information that helps you answer these questions. When you answer these questions, right, when you start becoming more self-aware and develop deeper self-knowledge is when you'll start seeing your life for the real picture that it is, right? We spoke about disillusionment a couple of podcasts ago, how actually breaking out of that disillusioned self really helps you find your purpose.
Find your purpose.
But that knowledge of self is something that is super important when it comes to helping you understand where you're even supposed to go. Taking the same boat analogy, right? To know that, okay, you are somebody who can navigate a boat, and then to know where this boat is supposed to go. And you'll have all the currency, you'll have all the money, you'll have all the time to do it. Your emotions, you'll be very excited about this boat trip. But where are you going to go? And why should you go there? And who are you to navigate the boat, right? What makes you special enough? What makes your boat the one that belongs to you? That you have to understand. Without that knowledge, you'll just be like floating around in that stream, getting knocked over by something, scrambling. And
This reminds me of my one biology experiment in my 11th class.
Okay.
So there is an earthworm which has a nerve ring kind of structure. So I was told that if you remove that nerve ring, that earthworm will survive. But it will keep doing the same thing.
it'll get
So
stuck in
if
a
it's
loop.
like it will go on in its loop and it will die eventually
With
of exhaustion.
yeah.
So I think the same thing will happen if you don't have
you'll
that.
die. And I see so many people going through life, see, because the body comes with a deadline, like literally deadline. It's going to die, right? It's unless you do like a lot of work on biohacking and keeping your cells alive and everything, and like focus on immortality, your body comes with an expiry date. People go through life like this earthworm.
Yeah.
People just go through life in that repeat, rinse, lather, repeat, rinse, lather kind of a thing. They're just getting knocked around by life. They're getting exhausted every single day. They're getting more and more tired, and one day they just die. But if you know why you have this body, if you know why this body exists, if you know who are you, like why were you even created, and how many times you might have come into a body different
I think most
times.
of us have that nerve ring removed, right? No?
That is, I think, like a lot of effort goes into that. I don't know when we're going to do one podcast just on like the conspiracy theory stuff.
We'll get you one.
Yeah, but like the pineal gland, the pituitary, the thyroid, your heart itself, so many of your energy centers are blocked because of different toxins coming from the environment, because of what you see on mainstream media, the mass narrative, the thing that what's shown in Bollywood, Hollywood, all of these movies, you just forget. Like that's how the nerve cells are numbed. Alcohol, smoking just makes it worse. Marijuana is one of those things that actually numbs people even more. I really like this entire CBD oil renaissance that's coming, and Canada making marijuana legal and all of that. I keep questioning where is that coming from, and what I see with a lot of the users is they become numb. They become numb to life.
Again, they're using it out without purpose.
Yeah.
There is no purpose to whatever
they're just
do.
getting through the day in that state of.
So again, it comes back to the knowledge, the fundamental question. Okay, knowledge is important to know about everything, what is good and what is bad for you, how to navigate.
And I think it's not just self-knowledge, right? Like I've repeatedly started speaking about this, that yes, like initially I was engrossed in self-knowledge. But I think it's important to know about yourself, and it's important to know about the world outside, and that balance, like you have to see what's happening in the world along with understanding who you are, so that you can again go through the flow.
It's like knowing about the road so that you can navigate.
Yeah, otherwise you'll just know about yourself, you'll know you're excellent in navigating, you'll go off to one side, right? And if you're just focusing on the world, you'll just keep looking at the world, you'll go off to one side. But that center line is when you are spending enough time in self-awareness and enough time in understanding the world outside you, and then you are in the state of balance.
I remember my favorite author, like I don't read much because he told me not to read much. Jiddu Krishnamurthy is one guy I really admire. I just browsed through his quotes and he said you should burn down all the books on this planet because people have stopped thinking. People have started asking questions.
No, but I don't think that's necessarily true, Avinash, because
people have started questioning, people have started thinking on their own. Everybody is living a borrowed philosophy of life, and because of that, they're actually a replica or copy of one or the other ideology.
I don't think it's a problem with books. I think it's a problem with how we are taught to read books. So
maybe
a good book would trigger you into asking these questions about yourself. That's the kind of books I read, right? Like I'm reading The Drama of the Gifted Child, or I'm reading about No Bad Parts, which is mostly about internal family systems. So both of these are the books I'm reading, they both trigger the self-inquiry and the inquiry about the outside world. Now, had I read these books just to kind of intellectualize them and not make it about for self, I would have just become very intellectual about these topics, very opinionated about those topics, debated really well about them, without really understanding what is the crux of the material in that book.
You will get an invite on TV channel one of these days. Those news debates.
No, I think I'll be very bad at those debates because I'll just tell everyone fuck off, and then that'll be the end of the debate itself. So no, that's why I don't get it.
I remember one panel discussion you went to. The topic was different and you were.
Oh my god, that was such a disaster. That was my.
But you did well actually.
Okay, if you say so. All right. So, what does self-knowledge mean for you? I mean, I just went eloquent about what it was for me.
I know the topic, the entire thing that we talk about, the flow. I allowed myself to flow the way universe was taking me. Like I bumped and I, banged into obstacles, I ran into rocks, and for last so many years I am doing that. And through that I am learning about myself. So somewhere it took me a lot of time to learn. It took me a lot of time to come to a place where Mugdha was waiting for me and to guide me, to navigate me. Okay, go this way, this way. You have taken all wrong turns, but still you have reached here. Now from here on, just take this route.
Thank you.
It will be easier. Yeah, all my self-knowledge has come from the experiences that I have had on this planet. Lot less about inquiring for myself, but now I have started questioning, I have started doing things the way they are supposed to be. And it makes much easier, it flows. I always believed in flow. I ensure that even my previous profession was a grease maker, which makes things flow, or a lubricant for that matter. So the self-knowledge for me about the flowing, taking myself through it. And that is the experience. Whatever experiences life has given me has made me immensely intellectual, in a sense that I can do a podcast with you and talk all these big words. But at the same time, I am equally internalizing all these thoughts. In fact, all these podcasts that we do and all the shows that we conduct and all the questions that we keep asking and all the mind work that we do with our clients, it is actually internalizing my self-knowledge journey. So I've learned so much in last 3, 4, 5 years that I'm working with you, that it has I don't need a book actually. You give me a lot of books, I hardly read any of them, and you know it, right? But at the same time, it makes me richer, all the experiences that I have.
I think with you, because your innate desire was to create more flow, it was always about seeing what obstructs flow in other people's life, right? You were very focused on other people, like where is somebody else's flow blocked, and then like, you know, you kept looking at the external world and those experiences. And yes, you stumbled and you knocked into things and all of that, right? So I think with you, what really happened most of your life was, I think it was like, how do I create more flow in the environments I'm in, for the people that I live with, for the people I care about. So you're always very external looking. What is really stopping flow in their lives, right? And then like you were learning more about the world, more about their lives, more about what is really going on in them, and sometimes getting entangled in their lives.
Yeah.
And then that's where the crashes and the burns and everything was happening because of that entanglement and trying to understand their life. And somewhere through that, little maybe bits about yourself you were understanding, versus what I see of you now is like, especially in the last 1 year, I see you going more and more deeper into the entire self-inquiry process, where you might not be doing it as actively as I do. Like I actually meditate on this. I sit, I give myself that quiet time to just understand my mind a little better, my psyche. You, I think, receive information even when you're swimming or whatever, but at least that process of self-inquiry, which at least that process of self-inquiry, which you weren't so deep into in the first 2.5 years of our relationship. I see that now, right?
We will talk about this in detail.
Okay.
And in the episode, go into it.
So this we'll talk about like his approach of looking more at the external world and then coming to a point now where he started self-inquiry and then receiving knowledge about self. In another episode when we go into self-knowledge, this thing was a little reversed. I was always very introspective, trying to learn about myself, not so much about the outside world, which is why I didn't understand legal and finance and all so much. Like, what is this world made of? But that's what, no? So both of us have our different approaches to knowledge, and now both of us are finding a deeper balance, right? So that is what we'll speak about when we do an entire podcast on self-knowledge.
True.
What other things are important, Avinash? Which other keys do you like? I think we have about 10.
10 keys.
Maybe we have just enough time to talk about one more today, and then we'll cover 5 more in the next one, and then we'll go deeper into each of them.
Yes.
Which one do you want to talk of out of the remaining?
Your favorite.
Which is?
Consent.
All
So
of them are my
before
favorite.
I met Mugdha, I had zero idea what consent is all about. The term itself, like, you know, I used to honor people's request and other person's opinion, other person's view, but I had, zero idea about consent and how important it is. So maybe I'll give you a lot of time to talk about this. This is the favorite time, the favorite topic, and I've learned so much from you about consent, right? Now I practice that, and I expect other people to seek my consent before they do anything with my life or my time or my resources. So over to you, Mugdha. Consent is yours. I give you consent.
Oh, thank you. You are allowing me to be self-expressed. Thank you so much. This is the kind of man society needs, where the woman is allowed to be self-expressed. Okay. All right. So what is consent? Consent is just the power that all of us are gifted with that we don't practice enough. Okay. So people think consent is about saying yes, because even that's what you said, like what I want to say yes to. It's more about what you want to say no to, right? The things you want to say no to will determine the things that actually are going to flow into your life. And consent is very, very deeply linked with boundaries. In fact, a lot of the work that we do with our clients when we do the Embracing the Human Experience work is helping them understand what their boundaries are, and then using their consent to honor those boundaries like a warrior. Anyone tries to violate my consent, they'll be annihilated, right? And like physically also, I've learned martial arts to do that. I know how to use credit cards to chop off somebody's ears. I know how to use keys to kind of maybe just poke a hole in somebody's throat that they can't breathe. I can physically, somebody tries to violate my consent, it's death for them. But even if they try to violate my consent emotionally, right, like through emotional blackmail or through manipulation, it's still, and it depends on the boundary I've set with them. So what is consent? Consent is your no, right? Like what are the things you're saying no to? Because this universe is designed to run on free will. Yes, we are here in service of the divine. Yes, we were created here in service to the divine in its expansion plan for God to expand itself. But we have been given this very, very powerful ability to say no to things that we don't want to do, because it's an experiment on free will itself, right? And the more we exercise our free will in our reality, in our world, with the people we live in, with whatever work we do, the more free you will feel. Freedom and consent are again super linked. Okay, so freedom, boundaries, consent, they're all like this big piece of a puzzle that creates that sense of sovereignty and a sense of freedom that every human being wants. And I think animals actually exercise their consent more openly than humans do. Humans get like the minds get programmed very, very early. Look at a child doesn't want to go to school, and the child will show that in every possible way, crying, throwing a tantrum, wailing, not wanting to wear uniforms.
I think kids' consent is violated most in the society. No?
It starts from there, no? Because a kid learns that okay, its consent is not going to be honored, because it starts expressing its consent. It starts with that. And then it learns out not honored, not honored, not honored. I get punished, I get punished, I get punished every time I try to honor my own consent. I get rewarded when I violate my consent and somebody else, I do something else. So that kind of over time gets programmed into people's head that, your consent is not important. What others want you to do is far more important, and you start feeling depleted, you start losing energy, you start dying small deaths every time when you violate your consent. Again, I can speak about this for 5 hours, like consent itself. There's like Johan and I keep having this debate whether kids have consent or not.
It comes from the free will fundamental.
Yeah, so I really think every being has free will, every being has consent, and yes, parents have the responsibility of choosing things like, let's say, even vaccines, right? Because a kid might not have enough information, but you look at any kid, no kid is willingly open to taking a jab, and like we'll go into consent more. We'll actually even do a little philosophy around consent, like do kids really have consent or not? Maybe we'll bring Johan in for that podcast.
Yeah, we need someone else.
Yeah, why do we need someone else?
I mean, someone who is more knowledgeable than me.
I think you honor your own consent, and I think that much knowledge.
I've learned to, I'm still a student.
So we could talk of that, no, from that perspective. What was happening when you were not doing that?
I'm still a student of this consent university. I'm learning from the chancellor directly. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's one of my core values also. It's also one of the values we have at iThrive, because we will not violate anyone's consent. It's like the worst karma.
Kids not having consent is a myth, right? No? Yeah.
According to me,
everyone is programmed with the self-preservation thing.
Yeah.
They know what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. When the toddler is hungry, he will cry, right?
Yeah.
He or she will cry.
And when the child doesn't want food, it won't open its mouth, but the parent will force it, and the kid learns,
even the nature has created any kind of, the small being in such a beautiful way that anyone will feed them, like their safety is taken care of. Mostly like 99.99% people will take care of them. That is how they are designed. So they have been programmed to be taken care of.
My entire divorce decree was based on my daughter's consent.
I know,
and the courts don't understand it, the lawyers don't understand it. No one understands it. Like, what is this mad woman not fighting for custody, but saying that her daughter's consent is more important, where the daughter chooses to be, which parent. Yeah. Now, I did that from because for me, it's like, how can anyone not understand consent, right? Like that was my mind. And then I saw how that divorce decree itself was violated in so many ugly ways by the law, by
the people,
by like the misunderstanding of what it meant has been entirely made into this horrible
We will talk about this also, right? Yeah. In the full-fledged episode on the consent.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting subject. Like I often wonder, where was my consent? Like I let people violate me in so many different ways at different times of my life, and I didn't understand this at all. So yeah, it's important to understand consent, and especially India being the rape capital of this world. That kind of,
Yeah.
and not only the reported rapes, the the
Yeah,
other
physical rape is still a very malignant outward expression of consent violation, right? I speak of the innocuous, everyday, at home violation of consent that happens even between
Yeah,
two adults, not just children, in laws, parents, teachers, authority figures. Slowly inching into somebody else's consent, right? So it's horrible.
So on that serious note, we will take a pause. We will join you.
Yeah. So the next time we'll talk about boundaries. We'll talk about
The natural law.
We'll talk about what else was there?
Freedom.
Freedom, I think, is an outcome, Avinash. It's an expression of these all things being honored, right? We'll talk a lot about these remaining topics that we couldn't cover today. I want to also talk about evil. Like, what does knowing or understanding or unlocking the key of evil have to do with creating flow in your life? Because evil is real, it exists. The more you acknowledge its presence and understand how it works, the easier your life will be. It's like that hidden alligator lying inside water as your boat is going about. If you don't know how to spot for those signs, you'll end up going into that alligator's belly, right? So it's important to talk about evil also, and that's why we'll talk about shadow work and all of that. But it's going to be an interesting series. I think this is going to take us to like another 24 podcasts maybe.
Yeah, as long as you guys keep supporting, watching and sharing.
Yeah, please do share, please like, please comment and let us know if the content makes sense, if it needs to change. We are going to continue to do this. Like I said, we are sharing our experiences so that people can learn through them. And yeah, that's about it. So bye bye until next week.
Bye bye.